Hi everyone, my name is Thomas and I'm going to speak about Chris Ware and the book Jimmy Corrigan. So it's sort of a long analysis and my voice sounds kind of flat because my microphone sucks, but I think it's going to be interesting, so just follow me.
I'm going to analyze the theme of the superhero at three levels of the novel: in the story, in the psychology of the characters, and in the media of comics in general. So the first theme is Superman as father. Jimmy has grown up without his father and doesn't have memories about him. The book starts with an episode of his childhood when he gets to meet his TV hero. The actor, however, doesn't act as an hero but as a predator, manipulating Jimmy's adoration for an easy sexual hookup. The actor spends the night with the mother and then leaves before she wakes up. He has betrayed Jimmy and walked away from him like his father did. Likewise, when we first get to know Jimmy's father, we realize he pretty much acts like a cheap actor who has rehearsed this part far too much. At a meta-narrative level, Superman is an embodiment of fantasy. We get to know that Jimmy fantasizes a lot, and these fancies are very vivid, such as they are not represented in a different way compared to the rest of the comic, something in between dreams and delusions. In a central dream sequence, Jimmy is fantasizing about talking to his son when a Superman figure disrupts his delusion. The Superman is a familiar character in Ware's comics. It appears in Quimby the Mouse stripes as an hovering looker of the scene. In another strip, is referred as God, a sinister and destructive God, I might say. In a similar vein, the Superman destroys the house where Jimmy's fantasy is taking place, provoking the death of his imaginary son. At the extra-narrative level, Jimmy's oppression is a metaphor of how the superheroes genre acts as a restraining forefather towards the comic media. Here is expressed Chris Ware's arguable idea that superheroes genre is low culture, whereas autobiographical comics are true art. Before leaving the house, the Superman actor leaves his mask as a gift to Jimmy, together with a message for the mother. In the next panel, we see Jimmy wearing the mask. This symbolizes an identification of Jimmy with the superhero, which will determine his destiny as an adult. Jimmy has taken the role of the father, becoming the phantasmagorical lover of his mother, accepting her repressing control as a consequence. When he first meets his father, Jimmy imagines to murder him, as the sons in Freud's totem myth. This psychoanalytical metaphor is further represented through Jimmy's swollen foot, referring to the Oedipus complex. For the rest of the story, Jimmy's mother will act as an emotional leash, framing the narrative and disrupting Jimmy's quest. It's significant that the story ends with the mother declaring to Jimmy that she is going to get married again, further depriving him of his role as a protector and love. Jimmy's relationship with his mother and his tendency to fantasize will result in a condition of suppressed sexuality, exaggerated at the point that he falls instantly in love with every woman he meets, and alienation. Jimmy seems a quite alienated individual, incapable to emotionally relate with others. During one of his dreams, he is represented as an antediluvian robot. It's not the first time robots appear in Ware comics. We can see several prototypes in the Rocket Sam series. They are definitely not unemotional characters, but each of them is trapped in the small repertoire their creator has intended for them. In the same way, Jimmy, far from being apathetic, is trapped in his repetition compulsion, in his failure to relate to others properly. Quite like Jimmy, the comic media have failed to grow up, or at least it appears so in the eyes of the masses that still consider it a childish media, not deserving serious consideration. Another marginal but very significant episode of the book is the suicide of a costumed man witnessed by Jimmy. The newspaper Jimmy notices in the hospital states that the man wasn't the star of the TV show, Jimmy's childhood hero. Sending this doppelganger to death reveals itself as an ineffectual mockery. The original cannot be properly imitated, suggests Brogan. The suicide sequence is represented as a reverie, driving the reader to doubt whether it actually took place. The corpse, however, is a persistent reminder of the symbolic death. Again, at the extra-narrative level, we can read this episode as the death of the superhero's genre, a death foretelling a new birth. Towards the end of the book, we meet Amy, stepsister to Jimmy. In contrast to Jim, she has many positive memories and a deep love for their father. The comic suggests us that the condition of Superman is not something granted to fathers, but it's bestowed by their children. In Amy's memories, James Corrigan is represented as a benevolent figure who demonstrates his love to the daughter. At the extra-narrative level, the book suggests that by questioning superheroes' role in comics, we can disrupt their oppressiveness in the comics media and explore how they affect our identity. Thank you for your attention.